In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. This is the third episode in Discoveries and Inventions from the Noble Quran, and it's entitled Understanding Biocompatibility and Discovering a New Way to Test It from the Guidance of the Noble Quran, the last revelation of Allah God to people. Now, about biocompatibility, what do we mean by biocompatibility? Now, in biomedical engineering, there is an increased use of foreign materials to be inserted in the human body to aid in function and restoration of function. For example, the use of titanium screws in the case of broken bones, loss of teeth, and so forth. Now, biocompatibility means whether the human body accepts or rejects this material. Now, the signs of the human body accepting this material can be summarized as follows. Firstly, that there is a small or a thin fibrous layer around the implant. So there's a very kind of thin layer that the body deposits near to the implant. Secondly, that the human body continues to run and continues to operate smoothly with the foreign material inserted into it. Thirdly, that there is no large pain in the body. And the signs of rejection, that this fibrous layer is very thick, a thick fibrous layer. Secondly, that the human body, there's so much pain in the region of the implant, and the health deteriorates. Now, how is biocompatibility tested in modern kind of engineering and biomedical engineering and modern medicine? Now, the testing for biocompatibility can be summarized in two main tests. Firstly, animal testing, that they put this material in the body of an animal, and then they see whether the body of the animal accepts or rejects this material. The other kind of testing in cell culturing, putting cells in a kind of dish and putting this material in that dish and seeing whether how the cells would react to this material. Now, these two methods, they have large drawbacks and disadvantages. Firstly, they are time consuming. Secondly, expensive. Thirdly, you cannot control the conditions that much in an animal, the way he moves and the way he functions. So you cannot that much refer the result in the animal to that of a human. And in the lab, it's difficult to say that the cells in the dish would react the same in the human body. So in modern kind of medicine and biomedical engineering, there is no exact way of knowing whether the material would be accepted or rejected by the human body. And we need such a test. We need to know whether the material would be accepted or rejected by the human body. Now, how to understand biocompatibility from the Noble Quran, the last revelation of Allah God to people? Allah God Almighty explains to us and teaches us from the Noble Quran what is biocompatibility, how to understand it. Now, firstly, Allah states in the Noble Quran in chapter 71, verses 17 and 18, the following: And Allah God has grown you forth from the earth like plants, and then He will bring you back into it and bring you forth again. So the Almighty states here that He brought forth humans from the earth. What does this mean? If we think deeply about this Quran verse, and the key to understand the Noble Quran is to think and ponder upon these verses and not just merely reciting them. So Allah states that He brought humans from the earth like plants. And we see that there is a strong emphasis here on the earth, which means that the source of energy that causes your body to grow must come from the earth. So we can learn from the Noble Quran that the source of energy that stimulates your body to grow comes from the earth. And what's the main energy that you feel from the earth? Is gravitational energy. And a gravitational field is an electromagnetic field which Allah Almighty explains to us in details in the Quran. In verse 7 of chapter 51 of the Quran states, and the heaven containing weaved ropes. So the Almighty teaches us that the heaven and this space we live in, it contains weaved ropes. So the Almighty teaches us that the gravitational field of the earth is composed of weaved strings, weaved ropes of energy. And as you can see on the screen, this is what's shown on the left. is a picture of the gravitational field of the Earth interacting with your body. So you on the Earth, the gravitational field of the Earth penetrates your body and it forms an energy skeleton. I call it an energy skeleton. And you see that there's a perfect match between the shape of the skeleton and the shape of your body. So you see from the picture, from what I said, that the gravitational field of the Earth, it penetrates your body and it forms an energy skeleton. And this energy skeleton guides the alignment of molecules in your body. For example, when the cells secrete and they produce collagen molecules, how do the collagen molecules know to have the shape they are in? They follow this magnetic field, this electromagnetic field from the Earth, and they align themselves to give the shape of a hand or a foot. So your body, there is inside your body a gravitational field from the Earth which guides the growth and the alignment of the molecules in the body and stimulates your body to grow. So this field needs to be maintained in its form for you to be healthy. Now any alteration in the field produces illnesses. Now this is one fact. Another fact that can be learned from the Quran, where the Almighty states in the Quran in chapter 10 verse 61, part of this narration, which states, "And nothing is hidden from your Lord, the weight of an atom on the earth or in the heaven." So the Almighty states in the Quran that not even the weight of an atom is hidden from Allah the Almighty. If you think about this, now suppose that you want to convince a person that you wrote a book. If you tell him that you wrote every chapter, if you told him that you know the title of the chapter in the book, that will not convince them that much that you wrote the book, because you might memorize those sections and the names of these chapters. But if you told that person that you know every letter in the book, that will convince them that you wrote the book. Now Allah when He states that not even the weight of an atom is hidden from Him in His creation, we can conclude from this that the basic unit comprising creation is an atom. So we can conclude from this that Allah teaches us that the basic unit comprising matter is an atom. And we see that the Almighty links the weight of an atom to it. He says the weight of an atom, meaning that the weight of an atom is the single most important property which governs the characteristics of matter and can predict its response. So the Almighty teaches us that the weight of an atom is the most important property which can explain all behavior of matter. Now let me demonstrate this. If you have a material composed of heavy atoms, like steel for example, it has high strength. Now if you have a material composed of light atoms, like glass, it has lower strength. So you see, brothers and sisters, how the weight of an atom explains all of its behavior. Also, for example, steel does not permit light to pass through it, while glass does. Now, since the human body grows along the energy skeleton from the gravitational field of the Earth, I concentrate here on the magnetic properties of materials. Now, according to the Quran, if you have a heavy material, then when it's subjected to an external electromagnetic field, it will produce an electromagnetic field which counters the original field. Because everything in the creation of Allah the Almighty wants to maintain its original form as Allah the Almighty created it in. Suppose, an example, you are putting force on a wood, you will feel a counter force, because the wood tries to maintain the relative position of its atoms. It's how it was created. Likewise, any material when subject to the electromagnetic field, the atoms, they produce a field which counters the external field. Now if you have a heavy atom, it can produce a large field which counters the external field compared to that of a lighter weight atom. So we can conclude from this that when you insert a heavy atom, a heavy material in the human body, that it will produce a strong field which counters the body internal field, the field of the gravitational field of the Earth. And thus, the human body would reject this material. It would try to put kind of layers and thick layers to shield itself from this external material. So we see, glory be to Allah God Almighty, how Allah explains to us biocompatibility from the Quran, thus that if a material interferes with the internal field of the air of the body, if an external material composed, for example, of heavy atoms, it interferes with the electromagnetic field of the body, then the body would reject this material. But suppose that you insert a light material in the human body, for example glass, an implant made of glass, then the field produced from the glass would be small compared to heavier material, and thus the body would accept it, meaning it would not see it. If you think about it, it's like this, the electromagnetic field of the body is the mechanism that Allah integrates in the body, that it sees, it knows how to grow. So when you put a light material, it's as if the body does not see it that much, so it grows around it and near of it. But when you put a heavy material, then the large magnetic field produced from it, is the body like it isolates this material by placing a thick fibrous layer. So you see, brothers and sisters, how Allah Almighty explains to us biocompatibility from the Noble Quran, the last revelation of Allah God to people. Also, Allah Almighty teaches us a way to test materials before inserting them into the human body. Now, Allah states in the Quran, chapter 71, verse 17, and Allah God has grown you forth from the earth like plants. Now, this verse, we concluded from it, first place, that the gravitational field, that the earth supplies the energy to grow your body. Now, we conclude from it another thing, that since Allah Almighty states that He has grown people like plants, this means that the mechanisms and the biomechanisms active in plants are exactly similar to those acting in your body. Which means that if you insert a material in a plant and the plant rejects it, then your body would reject it as well. And if a plant accepts it, then your body would accept it as well. Because the mechanisms acting in plants are identical to your body, as Allah states in the Quran. So what it is that a titanium screw is inserted into a stem of a plant. And as you can see on the screen, the white material growing very close to the titanium screw is wood material. And as predicted from the Noble Quran, since titanium is a light metal compared to other metals, then the magnetic field produced from the titanium would be small, and thus the biological tissue would grow near to it. And as you can see, wood has grown very near to the titanium screw, so it's biocompatible to the plant accepted titanium. And as you can see also on the screen, here is bone material growing around titanium screw in humans, in human bone. So you see, you cannot distinguish between the two pictures. So the plant accepted the titanium screw, also the human body accepted it as well. So we see that Allah teaches us a way to test biocompatibility on plants, such that if you insert a metal in a plant and the plant accepts it, then you will be rest assured that the human body will accept it as well. And if the plant rejects it, then you will be rest assured that the human body will reject it as well. Now, another test, if we insert a steel screw made of iron into a plant. Now, iron is a heavy material, and thus it produces a large magnetic field that opposes that of the plant, and thus wood would not grow near to it. And as you can see on the screen, that's exactly the case. There is no kind of wood growth near to the steel screw. And also in the human body rejects steel implants and screws made of steel. So you see here the plant rejected steel and the human body rejected it as well. So you see, brothers and sisters, how Allah Almighty teaches us from the Quran how to understand biocompatibility and how to test it, and the new testing method on plants. And this testing method has all the advantages. First, it's easy, inexpensive, you can control the conditions around the plant. It has all the advantages. So to summarize, Allah Almighty teaches us that biocompatibility, we can conclude from the Quran, that there is an internal magnetic field in all living creatures produced from the earth, and if a metal interferes with this magnetic field, then the tissue, Allah Almighty has certain mechanisms there that will try to isolate this implant. And the main factor that governs this is the weight of the atom. If we have a heavy material, then the biological tissue would reject it. If it's a light material, then it will accept it, because it does not interfere that much with the internal magnetic field of the creature. So we see, brothers and sisters, how Allah the Almighty wants a believer to be the teacher of others and not the one on the receiving end. And to know more details about this topic, please visit my website at www.quran-circle.com, and you can email me at zquran@yahoo.com, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all.